I have to tell everybody about myself.
Of my ancestors, and they get rose in the fields where the pain festered. I wonder where the hope came from. In the deeps of my heart, made me yearn for the drought. It's the same place where the crosses burn, the same place where the loss was earned. It's the place where the floss was yearned. Gold teeth and bling, ice on the rings, baby sure. Yo, we all got things that hang on our back, things that make us cool, things that make us whack, things that make us mad, things we wish we never had done. But they're just the things that make us real, not the maps that guide where we go from here. The road twists and braids like hair until we all get there.
This project than with a packed house and a piña. Wow. So my name is Josie, and it is a pleasure to welcome you here tonight to the world's first presentation of the Men's Story Project. Yeah. And when we see this, is hopefully like spreading all over the planet. So the fact that you're here tonight is especially significant. So tonight I'm going to be introducing you will be meeting 16 amazing men who come from many different walks of life. They have a huge range of life experiences. They range in age from 22 to 60. And they have all created pieces about their lives that they're going to be sharing with you in a variety of mediums. You're going to be seeing some slam poetry, some prose, some monologues, a dance piece. One person is going to be improvising right on the spot. Now we have ambiance. Except that I need to see this. So, what these pieces all have in common is that they're true, they're personal, and they are all focused on breaking silences and talking about things that men less often tend to talk about publicly. And they all have a focus on really critically examining social ideas about masculinity and what it can mean to be a man. So this is a pretty unusual night, I think. And before I say anything else, I just really want to thank them, express the thanks that I have and the respect that I have for them, for the leap of faith that they took to become involved in this project. They just responded, many of them, to a random email. And I really feel that it's an act of boldness and integrity, what they're doing of sharing these incredibly personal stories with you tonight. So they can hear us in the back. Can we give them a round of applause? So I just want to give a little bit of background on this project and how it came about. So over the course, one question that people have asked over the past few months is, people have noted the world is still largely patriarchal and male-dominated. We hear that history is his story, that men's stories dominate the history books and the mainstream media and so on. And so why should we want to get together for another evening of listening to men's stories when men's stories dominate the universe? Some people have asked. And a big part of the point is that men suffer under this patriarchal system as well. That's part of the premise of tonight. So there are many men whose stories are not often publicly heard, and there are many stories that men don't often publicly share. And so these are some of the stories that we're going to hear tonight. And I want to acknowledge that this is a very small fraction of men's stories. There are 3 billion other stories that won't be heard, and we really see this as an ongoing project and hope that some of you who are out there tonight, now I can't see anybody, but might be on this stage in the future. So please keep that in mind as a possibility. So a little bit more background. For the past 20 years, I've been doing different kinds of community work and public health work related to HIV mostly and different kinds of violence, both prevention and also trying my best to be an ally and supporter to people who are survivors of different kinds of violence, people who are living with HIV. I've been facilitating a support group for youth who are HIV positive for the past 3 years, and it's one of the things that I've been the most passionate about in my life. And I think that, there's pain in the world. There's pain, there's suffering. People are survivors of violence when they would have rather not be survivors of violence or, haven't had an experience of violence. People are struggling to learn to live with HIV when they would rather, not be living with HIV. People are experiencing addictions and loneliness and alienation and eating disorders and so on, And these are problems. But I believe that, and I think many people would agree, that these are problems, but they're also symptoms of underlying more fundamental root cause kinds of realities that we need to look at and expose and talk about collectively and critically and constantly until they change. And I think that one of these things that needs to be looked at collectively and critically is ways that communities and cultures and societies think about gender and gender relations. And tonight we're here specifically to talk about masculinity. So part of the idea is that there's social training, right? There's ideas of how boys and girls and men and women are supposed to act and look and feel. There's dominant culture kinds of paradigms which can be incredibly oppressive and limiting. And they're very intertwined, right, with heterosexism and sexism and ableism and racism and homophobia and transphobia and so on. And so we're here tonight to basically break all this stuff down and call it out and celebrate traditions that are good and that are constructive, but also to challenge what needs to be challenged and to basically present a more broad and expansive and peaceful vision of what contemporary masculinity can be all about for the benefit of people of all genders. So on a more personal note, some people have noticed that I seem to be a woman. And I agree, I do feel like I'm a woman. And they've asked me, what brought me to this project specifically, given that I'm a woman. And I really think that we can bring many parts of ourselves to the work that we do. So I'm coming to this project definitely as a very strong feminist. I want to see girls and women living with the safety and wellness and equity that they deserve around the world. I'm coming to this project, applause is fine. I'm coming to this project as somebody who wants to be a strong ally to men and to women and people of all gender identities in this process of creating more peace in the world. I've never given a talk where people applaud. It's a lot of fun. And on a more personal level also, I'm coming to this project because I don't want to ever have to support another beloved friend or family member or myself be supported in dealing with yet another act of unnecessary gender-based violence or hate crime or oppression. And I'm coming to this project, it's not just about me, it's, this project is happening because, no young person should ever have to walk through the doors of Bay Area Young Positives in San Francisco to tell our Monday night support group that they just found out today that they're HIV positive because they were doing what they had to do to struggle to survive on the streets because their parents kicked them out of the house because they could not deal with the fact that their child was transgender or gay. And there's many, many reasons like this that brought this project about. And so for myself, and I think this is true for many of the men who are here tonight, we're coming to this project with a lot of love for humanity and the world, and we're also coming to this project with a profound sense of urgency and impatience, and also optimism and belief in the idea, that things that are taught and learned can be untaught and unlearned and replaced with more peaceful and open and loving ways of relating to each other that affirm our common and amazing humanity. Okay, so I want to close with an invitation for you. So Henry Thoreau, who wrote Civil Disobedience, said that it takes two people to speak the truth. One person to speak and the other to listen. And so tonight we want to invite you, the audience, even though we can't see you, which is kind of annoying, we want to invite you, the audience, to consider yourselves not as traditional audience members or spectators, but rather as active witnesses to what's being shared here on the stage tonight. And we want to similarly invite you to think of the men who are going to be presenting on the stage tonight not as traditional performers, even though some of them are performing, but rather as truth tellers, people who are here speaking what is true for them personally at this moment in their lives. So the role that you're playing is powerful. We thank you for it. And after this is done, after the 2 acts are done, there's going to be time for audience and performer discussion all together, which is a very important part of the night. So we look forward to sharing that with you too. So without further ado, thank you again for being here. And it is a huge pleasure to introduce you to the amazing human beings of Act 1 of the Men's Story Project.